When the Mets take the field next, Todd, which is going to be at Citi Field on Tuesday against the Minnesota Twins, that's going to be 2 weeks since they won a baseball game. So they've got an off day now to stew about this and figure out how to turn things around. But it doesn't get any better for the Mets today.
No, it doesn't. A long time. 2 weeks is a long time.
Long time.
Between wins.
April the 7th, the last time they won.
And look, I mentioned this yesterday. Not that it makes it any difference. It's just a point of reference. I was on that 2004 team that lost 11 in a row. And as I said, the big difference here is that team didn't have the expectations this one does. And even in that, we thought we're going to find a way to win tomorrow. You've got to come back out and battle tomorrow. We're going to find, the solution. And this team has got to be, I think, fighting through that same kind of thing, but scratching their head again at the same time because, we can look at all the different things day in and day out, and we've said things ad nauseum to this point of like, what do you do? How do you approach it? What are we seeing? The reality is they had an opportunity to win a game today that got away from them again, and it's just different ways every day that are finding ways to lose, and that's when you scratch your head and be like, how are we going to get through this? Because today I thought they had the opportunity, and some of the things that you feel like, wow, that didn't go right. Conforto, the guy that comes up and gets the big hit. You've got Kimbrel getting the strikeout, but then a wild pitch with Terrence, who's the best catcher in baseball, behind him getting the runner to third. You pitch to Nico Horner when maybe instead you set up a double play ball there, and all he has to do is hit a fly ball. He's the toughest guy to strike out in baseball, and you still get the sac fly to win it. That's not to mention a lot of the other things that went on during the game that didn't enable you to add on and build on the lead. You're kind of feeling like you're on a life raft and you're slipping away and you're going down, and you've got to find a way to get on the boat and feel confident that you're sitting in the sun and going somewhere. Right now, it feels like they're just kind of slipping on the edge of the life raft.
Well, during our cut-in there during the 8th inning, I said they had 3 hits at that point, and how were they going to get to the finish line? I think that was one of the big questions, and they couldn't get to the finish line. And you mentioned they had chances to extend that lead. It was 1-0. Let's go to the 6th inning here because they got a leadoff double from Terrence, and they couldn't get him. They didn't even have a chance of getting him in right there.
Right. Well, the reality is when you have when you're going through a struggle like this, you have to find a way to take advantage of the few opportunities that you have because as soon as you don't, then you're like, darn, here we go again. In that 6th inning, Terrence leads off with a double. Carson Benz had a good at-bat to get him to third base, and then Bichette weakly grounds to shortstop, and Dansby played him in a perfect position where he was deep enough that he could make the play, but not that you could score on contact, and then Lindor goes down swinging right there to end the threat. And look, that's one of a number of different things that we've seen over the course of this losing streak. It's just that every day the losing streak compounds, those types of things get magnified. And it's the lack of being able to get the big hit, the lack of being able to prevent the big run, and those things start to make you feel like, hey, what's going on? How is it gonna, how is it gonna end today? And I've mentioned this before, and this is, like I say, this is a disclaimer that I don't think this Mets team is a losing team. I think this is a team that has the potential to turn this thing around. They've got to do it quickly, but I know as a player, there's times where you feel like winning teams, winners find a way to win, losing teams find a way to lose. And when you're on that other side of it, where you're doubting yourself and you're looking at the little things that went wrong and the little things that you could have done better, and then it comes to another loss, that makes it more difficult every day to get back up, go back out, have confidence when you battle the next time.
All right, so I've got to follow up on what you said there, right? You don't think this is a losing team, and they're projected to be a playoff team this year, but by the numbers, these 11 consecutive defeats, it is very difficult when you look at teams that go through this kind of a losing streak in the month of April. The percentages are not on your side that you're going to be a playoff team. I know it's very early, the 19th of April, but the numbers are not on your side. So I guess it does beg the question, could this potentially be who this team is? And again, I know Juan Soto isn't here right now, but he's one guy. What do you think?
Look, I think it's a question that people have to ask at this point, Gary. And I think that's, if you look around baseball, there's nobody looking at what's going on with the Mets not being a little confused by it. Because I think even with the departure of the guys that had been here before, the core that left, there was a lot of speculation during the offseason as to what David Stearns and this team was going to do to make up for that. And the predominant, the predominant feeling around baseball through the pundits and through the experts was that the Mets have done a very good job, and they were picked number 3 going into this season to win the World Series behind like the Dodgers and the Braves, right? And those two teams are excelling right now, as we've seen. So this is not what was expected out of this team. This is a surprise, Gary, and that's why I say this is not the team that I think this team is. I think right now you're seeing a combination of things that have made this, bad little run even worse, and that's Juan Soto being out of the lineup certainly is a big factor. Francisco Lindor off to the slow start, so you're getting all the slow lack of offense early in the season. Vientos and Beatty, I've mentioned this a number of different times, I think were guys that I and the rest of baseball considered guys that were bona fide big leaguers that had really established themselves over the last couple of years, that were going to be in the middle of that lineup and be run producers for this team that you didn't necessarily have to worry about. There's going to be ups and downs for every guy that's still kind of getting their footing, but I think those were guys you didn't have to worry about. So what were the question marks? How's Polanco going to be? Well, he's been non-existent so far. How's Robert going to be? He's been good so far. How's Simeon going to be? Well, he's been as advertised on defense and as advertised on offense right now. So you look through I'm going through all of these things, and you haven't got the production out of the team that you would expect. Not even if you're being optimistic in looking at this team, you haven't got the production that you would expect out of this team. And I think it's a matter of time before it starts to come.